But inside China's battery industry, something far more interesting is now happening. The world's largest actively fast-tracking sodium-ion batteries.
But despite this inflammatory reputation, to get there, we need to first look at what made lithium so irreplaceable.
Here's an electric car battery made not from rare metals, but from one of the cheapest, most abundant materials on Earth, salt. This is not science fiction. It's happening right now in China, reshaping what we thought was possible in electric vehicle technology. What if the biggest barriers holding back EVs, charging speed, cold weather performance, and skyrocketing costs, were suddenly solved by a battery with no lithium, cobalt, or nickel at all? That's exactly the breakthrough shaking the foundations of the global auto industry and raising urgent questions about America's place in the future of electric vehicles. The hidden crisis in EV batteries. Electric vehicle batteries have become the most costly and critical component of the car. Behind the scenes, lithium-ion batteries, the current industry standard, bring serious challenges that many people rarely hear about. They don't just determine the price tag, but also limit how long your EV lasts and how well it performs, especially in tough weather. These problems quietly shape the entire electric vehicle experience, often frustrating drivers and slowing wider adoption. One of the biggest issues is how slow charging can be. Filling up your EV isn't like stopping for gas. It can take anywhere from half an hour to even longer under certain conditions. That wait time can feel like a step backward in a world obsessed with speed and convenience. But charging delays aren't the only concern. Cold weather strikes an especially hard blow. In freezing temperatures, many lithium-ion batteries lose huge chunks of their range, sometimes leaving owners stranded or desperately searching for the next charger. Then there's the supply chain crisis hiding beneath the surface. Lithium itself is suddenly a wild card in the story, with prices swinging wildly and a tiny handful of countries controlling most of the refining power. In 2022, lithium carbonate prices rocketed past $70,000 a ton before crashing back down, stirring volatility that ripples all the way into the price of electric cars. It's a risky supply line that no one driving an EV thinks about until they see how it impacts costs. Battery lifespan turns out to be a hidden budget drain too. Most lithium-ion batteries are good for maybe 2,000 to 3,000 full charge cycles before their capacity fades dramatically.
The average lithium-ion battery can cycle 2,000 cycles with normal use, or 3,000 cycles if you really take care of them.
When that happens, replacing the battery can cost as much as buying a used car, turning what seemed like a clean, economical choice into a major financial headache. So far, no easy fix has arrived, and that looming cost remains buried in the background of every electric vehicle sale. These challenges point to something deeper. The foundation of today's EV industry is dangerously fragile. While lithium-ion was once considered the future-proof solution, its flaws are increasingly exposed as electric vehicles scale up worldwide. At the same time, the scramble for scarce materials and reliance on just a few refining countries add geopolitical tension to what should have been a straightforward technology shift. Despite billions poured into lithium battery development, the industry risks getting stuck on limiting technology just as the world needs electric vehicles to accelerate. The weight of charging delays, weather setbacks, and battery degradation pulls down the promise of practical, affordable EV ownership. The path ahead demands not just improvements, but a different chemistry altogether, one that addresses these intertwined hurdles in a bold new way. Yet, while the West pushed hard for lithium, another idea quietly took root in China, one that few outside the battery world were watching. This next innovation holds the key to rewriting the rules that have shackled EVs for years. The breakthrough is poised to change not just battery technology, but the entire energy landscape. Before we dive into the details, it's worth asking, what if the solution wasn't just about making lithium better, but about replacing it completely? What if a seemingly simple element from your kitchen shelf, could unlock an electric revolution no one expected? That question will lead us to a surprising answer. Carrying that thought forward leads us to the persistence behind a technology almost written off: sodium-ion batteries and their unexpected rise. The sodium battery comeback. Sodium-ion batteries might sound like a new trend, but their road to relevance has been long and rocky. For years, sodium technology was dismissed as a punchline, too limited to power real cars, fit only for low-demand uses like golf carts or grid storage. The widespread belief was that sodium simply couldn't match lithium's energy density or efficiency. This industry skepticism left sodium-ion chemistry on the sidelines while lithium-ion took center stage. Back in 2016, when most battery makers doubled down on lithium, a Chinese company called CATL quietly chose a different path. Instead of following the crowd, they made a strategic bet on sodium. They poured nearly 10 billion renminbi into research and development, burning through close to 300,000 prototype cells, chasing a technology the rest of the world had dismissed. It was a staggering commitment to what many considered a dead-end chemistry. That level of dedication paid off. By 2021, CATL became the first major battery manufacturer to launch a commercial sodium-ion product. While competitors laughed, their innovation moved beyond the lab and into mass production. This shift wasn't just technical. It was a deliberate breakaway from conventional battery thinking. Their sodium-ion batteries were no longer confined to experiments. They were production-ready and positioned to challenge the dominance of lithium. At CATL's 2025 SuperTech Day, when they unveiled the Naxtra brand, industry insiders recognized a moment of real disruption. Gao Huan, CATL's Chief Technology Officer for sodium-ion, captured the sentiment perfectly. Sodium-ion is no longer confined to laboratories. This was a statement with weight, coming from the company that already supplies Tesla, BMW, and Mercedes. When CATL declares technology production ready, factories and supply chains immediately shift. This revival of sodium-ion represents more than just a technical innovation. It reflects a profound industry pivot. While the West continued investing billions into lithium mines and refining, China quietly perfected a chemistry that sidesteps lithium entirely. It's a strategy that not only challenges technological assumptions, but threatens to rewrite control over the global battery supply chain. What makes sodium so compelling is its abundance. Sodium is pulled from common salt, one of the cheapest and most plentiful materials on the planet. Sodium isn't concentrated in a handful of countries or fraught with ethical mining concerns. This simple fact alone sets the stage for major shifts in battery economics and supply security. Still, the comeback of sodium-ion batteries wasn't about abundance alone. It required advancements in battery design, chemistry, and manufacturing to overcome the previous energy density shortfall. CATL's success shows what happens when focus and investment combine with innovation in overlooked materials. Their breakthrough signals a turning point where sodium moves from a backup option to a real competitor on the world stage. With sodium now firmly back in the game, the next question is clear. How does using salt instead of lithium change the economics and geopolitics of battery production worldwide? This leads us into the next part of the story: how salt beats lithium cost and supply. The move from lithium to sodium isn't just swapping one material for another. It completely rewrites the cost calculus behind electric vehicle batteries. Sodium comes from salt, a resource so abundant that supply constraints are nearly non-existent in comparison to lithium. This means sodium-ion batteries avoid the price shocks and supply bottlenecks that have plagued lithium for years. Lithium prices reached a peak in 2022, where lithium carbonate soared past $70,000 per ton, causing sticker shock in EV prices worldwide. While prices have since fallen, volatility remains a major concern. For manufacturers and consumers alike, the price swings introduce uncertainty and risk into planning. Sodium's low-cost raw material foundation offers a stabilizing contrast, promising much more predictable battery costs. Beyond pricing, supply concentration deepens the lithium problem. Projections from the International Energy Agency warn that by 2030, 85% of lithium refining will occur in only 3 countries. This geographic choke point creates vulnerabilities in the supply chain, a strategic leverage point that could disrupt the clean energy transition if political tensions flare. Sodium's global abundance spreads risk far more evenly, reducing dependency on fragile or politicized supply routes. Ethical and environmental concerns also tip the scales. Lithium mining leaves an ecological footprint that has garnered growing criticism, ranging from water depletion to habitat disruption. By using sodium extracted from sea salt, these environmental pressures are sharply reduced, making sodium-ion batteries a greener alternative as the world shifts toward sustainability. All these factors feed into the overall cost of the battery, which is the single most expensive part of an electric vehicle. CATL's sodium-ion batteries are designed to lower production expenses by eliminating the need for costly, scarce metals like cobalt and nickel too. That combination opens the door to more affordable EVs that can compete on price with traditional gasoline cars. The cost advantage isn't only about materials. The chemistry also supports manufacturing scalability. With simpler, more abundant ingredients, factories can run without the supply disruptions or specialized handling lithium demands. That stability is crucial as the market explodes, especially in fast-growing Chinese cities and cold regions where lithium struggles most. As sodium reshapes the economics of batteries, it also shakes up the geopolitics of energy. Western companies invested heavily in lithium, but missed the early warning signs of sodium's revival. Leading Korean manufacturers have even partnered with Chinese firms to develop sodium technology instead of building production at home. This signals a major power shift in who controls the future of batteries. The leap in cost and supply advantages sets the stage for exploring just how sodium batteries also outperform lithium in critical performance metrics like charging speed and cold weather resilience. Those breakthroughs matter because economics alone won't win the race if the batteries can't deliver day-to-day reliability. The breakthroughs in cost and supply open the door to sodium batteries' performance advantages. Advantages that could finally solve some of the worst frustrations EV owners face. Performance advantages in charging and cold. One of the biggest frustrations with electric vehicles today is charging time. Unlike refueling a gas car in minutes, lithium-ion batteries often take 30 minutes or more, even on fast chargers, and sometimes longer when charging slows to protect battery health. CATL's sodium-ion battery aims to change that with the ability to support up to 5C charging, meaning it can charge up to 5 times faster than standard rates. In practical terms, this could cut charging time dramatically, making EVs far more convenient for everyday drivers. The impact is even greater for heavy-duty vehicles. Chinese manufacturer Haina reports its sodium-based truck battery can fully charge in about 20 minutes, an enormous improvement for semi-trucks that typically require long downtime. Faster charging could transform freight logistics, where delays are costly. For regular drivers, shorter charging times reduce range anxiety and narrow the convenience gap between EVs and gasoline vehicles. Cold weather performance is another major breakthrough. Lithium-ion batteries struggle in freezing conditions, often losing a large portion of their range. In extreme cold, performance can drop so much that vehicles become unreliable. CATL claims its sodium-ion battery retains about 90% of its capacity even at minus 40 degrees Celsius, conditions where lithium batteries usually fail. This level of resilience could make EVs far more practical in colder regions and improve reliability for fleets, emergency vehicles, and everyday users. Range performance is also competitive. CATL estimates around 500 kilometers or roughly 310 miles per charge under normal conditions. Even in cold weather, projected range remains strong, potentially outperforming some lithium-ion systems. While independent verification is still needed, these figures challenge the idea that sodium batteries lack sufficient energy density. Together, fast charging and strong cold weather performance address two of the biggest barriers to EV adoption. This isn't just about cost or lifespan, it's about real-world usability. A battery that charges quickly and performs reliably in extreme conditions makes EVs a more practical primary vehicle rather than a secondary option. With companies like CATL, already a major supplier to brands such as Tesla and BMW, pushing this technology forward, sodium-ion batteries are moving quickly from concept to reality. While questions remain, especially around long-term performance, the progress signals a major shift in the EV landscape. Fast charging and cold resilience are only part of the story. Another key challenge, battery degradation over time, may be next in line for disruption. The leap in charging speed and cold weather endurance naturally leads us to the equally impressive claims about lifespan and safety that could cement sodium's place in tomorrow's electric fleets. Longevity and safety revolution. Battery degradation remains one of the biggest concerns for electric vehicle owners. Most lithium-ion batteries begin to lose noticeable capacity after around 2,000 to 3,000 full charge cycles, which typically equals 6 to 8 years of everyday driving. As the battery weakens, drivers experience reduced range and performance, often leading to expensive replacements that can cost nearly as much as a used car. CATL's sodium-ion battery directly challenges this limitation, offering a projected lifespan of more than 10,000 charge cycles, roughly 3 to 5 times longer than conventional lithium batteries. This level of durability could fundamentally reshape how people think about EV ownership. Instead of planning for costly battery replacements, drivers could rely on consistent performance for well over a decade, possibly even longer than the vehicle itself lasts. For fleet operators and commercial users, the benefits are even greater. Longer battery life means reduced maintenance costs, less downtime, and more predictable operations. These advantages could also influence insurance pricing, resale value, and broader sustainability goals by reducing waste and extending product life cycles. Safety is another critical area where sodium-ion technology shows clear advantages. While lithium-ion batteries are generally safe, they can pose fire risks under certain conditions, such as physical damage or manufacturing defects. CATL's sodium battery meets China's strict GB 38031 safety standards and has passed extreme stress tests, including crushing, drilling, and cutting, without catching fire or releasing smoke. This kind of resilience sets a new benchmark for battery safety in the EV industry. The key lies in sodium's chemical stability. Compared to lithium, sodium is far less prone to thermal runaway, the dangerous chain reaction that can lead to fires or explosions. This significantly lowers risk not only for passengers, but also for first responders and public infrastructure. As safety improves, public trust in EV is likely to grow, potentially accelerating adoption worldwide. Together, longer lifespan and improved safety create a powerful shift in value. Instead of worrying about battery degradation, consumers can expect reliability that matches or even exceeds the life of the car itself. This could bring in more hesitant buyers and expand the EV market. Beyond passenger vehicles, these advantages extend to grid storage, heavy-duty transport, and other critical systems. When a battery lasts longer and performs safely under extreme conditions, it's not just an upgrade. It's a fundamental shift in how we power the future. The impressive gains in lifespan and safety reveal why sodium-ion batteries are more than a contender. They could dominate the next phase of the electric vehicle revolution. Global impact and the race ahead. The rapid rise of sodium-ion battery technology marks more than a technical shift. It's actively reshaping global power dynamics in the electric vehicle, EV industry, and beyond. Chinese giants CATL and BYD now control over half of the global EV battery market, driven largely by early and aggressive investments in sodium-based platforms. This stands in stark contrast to the West's struggle to keep up, highlighted by the collapse of its only major sodium startup, Natron Energy, which shut down operations and canceled a billion-dollar factory in 2025. At the same time, major Western and Korean battery companies are increasingly turning to China for sodium technology, instead of developing their own domestic capabilities. LG Energy Solution, a key supplier to automakers like General Motors, Volkswagen, and Tesla, has launched pilot projects in China and signed materials agreements with Chinese firms rather than scaling production at home. This shift signals a deeper realignment in global supply chains and growing technological dependence, widening the innovation gap. Sodium batteries are also expanding far beyond passenger vehicles. China is already deploying large-scale grid storage powered by sodium chemistry, including a 100-megawatt station designed to stabilize power grids and support renewable energy integration. Thanks to their safety, durability, and scalability, sodium batteries are also well-suited for heavy-duty trucks, an area long considered difficult to electrify. CATL's plan to roll out battery swap stations across more than 3,000 sites in 140 cities, including cold northern regions, shows how practical and adaptable this technology has become. This momentum is reflected in market forecasts. Analysts expect the global sodium-ion battery market to grow from about $1.39 billion in 2025 to nearly $7 billion by 2034. That surge signals rising confidence in sodium as a real alternative to lithium-ion batteries, not just a niche option. It's effectively opening a second front in the global energy race, where control over battery chemistry could define the future of transportation and infrastructure. The implications go beyond economics. EV batteries are now critical infrastructure, and control over their supply chains carries major national security consequences. China's early lead in sodium battery production gives it a strong position not only in technology, but also in the manufacturing ecosystems and resources that will shape clean energy for years to come. Meanwhile, the West faces urgent decisions. Heavy reliance on lithium has exposed vulnerabilities, from price volatility to concentrated refining capacity. As China accelerates sodium adoption across industries, the global clean energy transition is becoming increasingly uneven. Whether sodium fully replaces lithium remains uncertain, but its disruptive impact is already clear and growing fast. China's sodium-ion batteries are rewriting the rules of electric mobility: faster charging, tougher cold weather performance, longer life, and safer design. This breakthrough could make lithium the memory of a brief transition, while salt powers the future of clean transportation and energy. If you found this insight valuable, like the video and subscribe for more deep dives into technologies shaping our world.